then we had a little bit of a wardrobe malfunction, followed by a camera malfunction, followed by a battery malfunction. So unfortunately, all the footage of me which was talking to the camera had to be completely scrapped out. But wait, don't worry though, because we have got a lot of nice B-rolls, lot of lovely outside and interior shots of the car to keep you guys busy and to have something for you to watch instead of my silly face. So hang in there, because I really want to talk to you about the new Range Rover Evoque and the kind of upgrade, because this is a substantial upgrade. This is a significant upgrade compared to the previous generation car which launched in 2011, and this car has a lot of promise to take the whole Range Rover as well as the Evoque brand to a lot of new people in the industry. Now the Range Rover Evoque has been a really good car for Land Rover, where it's actually been able to bring a lot of new people to the Range Rover brand. It's introduced a whole wide variety of new people or new customers to the Range Rover brand. And this is despite the fact that the original first generation car, which was there from 2011 to 2018, had a lot of complaints with the customers, especially when it came to the rear legroom department. And this new Evoque, which launched in 2019, squarely aims to sort of address those issues while at the same time take it a step further. And now what I want to find out in this review is that if this Range Rover Evoque sort of compromises some of the sportiness, some of the great dynamics the first generation car was known for, and if these increases are actually going to affect any of that. Hello and welcome to Bichao, and this is the 2020 Range Rover Evoque. Now I had the Evoque with me for quite a substantial amount of time, and what that gave me is sort of an idea about how the car not only drives in the city but also out on the highway, and also a little bit on the off-road side as well of things. What I found out is this car is such a mile muncher where you can actually cover huge amount of distances in relative comfort in the Evoque. More on that later, but what I want to talk about first is, since this car launched in 2019, it has completely overhauled the way the Evoque branding and how Range Rover used to consider the Evoque before. You've got these new sleek LED headlights which look very much similar or very much inspired from the Range Rover Velar. Also, the rear tail lights are also sleek and also in this new Velar type or Velar inspired design. The LED headlamps can be upgraded to adaptive LEDs, but that comes with the iDynamic package, which we are going to get more into the details once I go into the interiors of the car. Now on the outside, the Evoque also gets a signature Range Rover style honeycomb grille, where the earlier car kind of looked like a Range Rover brand spin-off. This current generation Evoque actually looks like a very well integrated part of the Range Rover line. And the best part I think about the car's overall design is how Land Rover has seamlessly sort of integrated these new design elements while at the same time keeping the old Evoque signature design details intact. Like for example, the wheel arch that bulges over the bonnet line, the sharp yet upwards moving shoulder line, which is also very strong and a signature of the Evoque, and also along with it this beautifully sloping roof. Land Rover has kind of maintained those design elements, those typical signature Evoque design elements, while at the same time upgrading the car to look and feel more like a Range Rover family product. Now one thing you will also notice when you look at the Evoque from the side is that its overall length has not changed substantially, but what has happened is the wheels are now separated a little bit further from each other, so that means that you've got about 20 mm more wheelbase, and that 20 mm increase in wheelbase is specially done to accommodate more legroom for the rear passengers. That said, also the headroom over here is very good. It is very surprising that a coupe SUV with a sloping roof design has so much of headroom for the rear passengers. I think that's a lot to do with how this massive sunroof is kind of carved out. And one thing I have noticed is, for some reason, Land Rover has opted to go with more USB ports at the back of the car than compared to the front driver and passenger seat. Because at the back you've got 4 USB ports, 2 of them below the air conditioning vent and then 1 each behind each of the seats. So there are 4 USB ports at the back, which is 2 more than what you get at the front. The only kind of negative I found with the rear seats is that you sit a little low and your knees are a little high up, so you don't have a lot of under thigh support. I think the overall comfortable distance that you could probably travel in the Evoque's rear seat is about 200 to 300 kilometers, because anything over that, I think you will be shuffling around your seat looking for that comfortable spot, you know. Now moving on to the front of the car, this is where your experience completely changes. This is where it shows that Range Rover and Land Rover have actually put a lot of effort and a lot of money, not just in the way they've designed the interior or the front cabin, but also in the choice of materials, the build quality, and overall in general the fit and finish of how well everything is put together over here. The front feels very upmarket, and it sort of gives you an idea that Land Rover has tried to fit as much of that Range Rover DNA and add as much of that Range Rover quality to the interiors of the Evoque. I mean, everything from the air vents look nice, the doors look nice, the way the entire layout of the interior is, it looks nice, and it looks better than some of its competition and rivals. Now here's the thing though, remember the R-Dynamic package that I was talking to you guys about earlier in the start of this video? Now that I'm over here in the interiors of the car, I'm going to explain you more what that R-Dynamic package brings. So for a price of 2.97 lakhs additionally over the S variant, the R-Dynamic SE actually brings in adaptive LED headlights on the outside. It brings a dual touchscreen for the center console. It brings a completely digital driver's display. It also brings 14-way adjustable seats instead of the 10-way adjustable seats that you have over here. You also get an upgraded 380-watt Meridian sound system. It also has the digital clear side rear view camera. And apart from that, there are a lot of trim pieces which gets added to the inside and the outside of the car. Now what I think is that for this kind of a price difference, where you only have to pay 2.9 lakh rupees on top, where you're already paying a price of close to 60 lakh rupees, you pay that extra 2.9 lakh rupees and you get everything. You get the entire works, whatever you can with this car. So I think in that ways, the R-Dynamic SE package actually makes a lot of sense for the kind of price it's offered at. Don't get me wrong though, the D180S variant that I have with me over here is also very well equipped. But I just feel that for 2.97 lakh rupees on top, getting the R-Dynamic SE variant makes so much of sense just because of the number of list of items that you're getting with the car. Now when you start driving the Evoque, it's kind of a mixed bag feeling, but only initially. Once you take off, everything becomes better, and in fact, this is one of the most engaging and fun driving experience that I've had within coupe SUV. One of the reasons behind that is that the diesel engine in this car, when you're starting off, is slightly noisy. The suspensions are also, they feel a little stiff when you're starting off, and also I'm not sure if it's the gearbox or if it's how the accelerator pedal is tuned, but it feels a little urgent, it feels a little jumpy, where you know you're a little on very slow speeds, you might feel a little jerkiness coming from the gearbox, but that all changes once you cross the speed of 20-25 kilometers per hour, where the entire character of the Evoque dynamically again changes. Your engine becomes way more silent. The suspension become much more forgiving. They become much more easy even in city driving conditions. And the only places where the suspensions get unsettled is where it comes across very sharp and very angular cuts on the road. And I think that is going to be the case with almost every car, no matter if it's an SUV or if it's a sedan. Are kind of roads sometimes where you have sharp bumps, not many cars or not many suspensions, unless you're going and talking about the absolute high end of things where you're using magic body control along with adaptive suspensions. That is probably where, you know, those kind of bumps can be mitigated from crashing and coming all the way into the inside of the car. But apart from that, I'm very happy to say that the Evoque suspensions actually take the rest of our traffic and pothole filled roads with no problem whatsoever. I am of course talking about Pune. Pune has got some really bad roads. I think Pune is a great testing ground when it comes to suspensions. Now, the highlighting factor for me about the Evoque was how dynamically balanced this car is on the highways. This model, the D180S as well as the R-Dynamic SE, both come with the 180 bhp 4-cylinder diesel engine, which puts out about 180 horsepower and 430 Newton meter of torque, paired with how well the gearbox is set up for highway cruising, this car absolutely is effortless in the way it drives on the highway. The 430 Nm of torque which is offered in the diesel Evoque is substantial for most of the times to keep the car rolling at good average pace on the highway. At the same time, it's enough for most situations for you to overtake other cars as well without downshifting, because downshifting is where actually the problem is. When you're on automatic mode and when you want that immediate burst of acceleration so that you can overtake something quickly, that is sometimes the place where the gearbox is a little slow. It takes time to downshift, put you in the right gear so that you get that torque and you get that acceleration to overtake the vehicle in front of you, and sometimes that window of overtake closes. So I would say for 99% of the times where you need to do a gradual overtake on other people on the highway, this car is absolutely amazing for it. This car doesn't give you any problems. Where you have a sudden urge to overtake and you plop your foot down on the throttle, that's where the gearbox might take a little extra time to respond, kick down the gear, and then give you the torque and acceleration to overtake. In my opinion, that is totally not a deal breaker, because overall this car has such beautiful dynamics on the highway. The highway manners on the Evoque are actually epic, because of the way the suspensions are set up. They are not set up to be overly stiff. At the same time, they're not set up to be very bouncy. So when you're maneuvering the car on highway speeds, the body of the car is absolutely rock steady. That's how good the suspensions are. And the good part is that the suspensions not only mitigate the sideways roll of the body, they also mitigate hugely the upwards and the downwards sort of movement of the car. The way the suspensions are set up in the Evoque, the car suddenly does go off, but then it immediately rebounds and comes back to the ground, and that gives you so much of confidence when you're driving this car on the highways. Overall, the way the suspensions are set up, how well they handle the body balance, on top of that, the light but quite precise steering wheel, and the super amazing brakes. I think the way the Evoque drives and rides on the highway, it gives so much of confidence that I think very few other cars in its segment would probably be able to get you that kind of a confidence while driving, and as a result give you that sort of average pace on the highway which this car is able to maintain. Now when talking about slightly tighter corners such as ghat roads and mountain twisty roads, that is where again the steering feels a little light, but then it is decently accurate for the kind of car it is. There is again excellent body control, and the suspensions over here also are set up beautifully where they find the right balance. But as you would imagine, the Evoque is not the kind of car that you want to willingly push into corners at very high speeds. And while you're driving this car fast in corners, what overall feel you get is, while the Evoque gives you that dynamic support, it brings that dynamics to the table where you're actually having some decent amount of fun in the car. There is still a lot of intervention going on behind the scenes from the electronics, where the ABS is giving equal distribution of braking, the traction control is cutting off and bringing power back in on all four wheels. So a lot of electronic trickery is going on beneath the surface, which sort of gives you that confidence to go fast, and it gives you that excitement also when you're going fast. But I get this feeling that most of it is being done behind the scene by the car itself rather than the driver. And that could be a good thing, that could be a bad thing, depends on what your perspective of driving is. But one thing I'd say, that it makes the overall experience of going fast into corners in this car kind of enjoyable, but not entirely connected, where you're not entirely part of what the car is doing and what's going on overall. Now, I'm not someone who does a lot of off-roading, so my off-roading knowledge is fairly limited. But what I found out from my few days experiencing the Evoque on-road as well as off-road is that this is the kind of car that will help people like me who are not very much into off-roading, or who are not very well versed or very in-depth with how off-roading is done, with what are the technicalities of off-roading. This car is sort of going to be a big benefit for people like us who want to go slightly off the road to reach destinations or to reach places which are otherwise in their benefit or in their interest. And that, I think, how Land Rover is overall set up. The Evoque, where it's got shorter overhangs, which mean that approaching and departing slight sharp edges is going to be easy. It's not going to be such a problem. Although India misses out on the 360-degree view that the Evoque comes out with abroad, where you have these cameras which are set up on the front of the car which show you what kind of terrain is going under the car. Because of course I think Land Rover knows that in India people are not going to take the Evoque for such serious off-roading. They have sort of excluded or deleted that feature out from the India list. Along with that, as I said before, Land Rover has brought in a lot of electronic features to this car which help making amateur off-roaders' life a lot easier. Like for example, the Terrain Response 2 system that comes with this car is an upgrade on the Terrain Response 1, where now the Terrain Response system sort of automatically figures out and finds what is the most optimum traction control or the most optimum drive settings for you. Now the Evoque, under most circumstances and normal loads, usually runs in a front wheel drive configuration, where it only goes into a 4-wheel or an all-wheel drive setup whenever there is a requirement, and it kind of switches through these modes seamlessly, where I as a driver never had to even once go behind the settings and understand what would be the most optimum mode for this particular terrain that I am on. And it is so seamless in the way it works that most of the times I didn't even bother to find out or to check in which terrain mode setting the Evoque is. The other feature that comes with the Evoque is the ATPC, which is short for All Terrain Progress Control. What ATPC does is it sort of acts like a very low speed off-road cruise control, which works between the speed of 1.8 kilometers per hour all the way up to 35 kilometers per hour, where you set up the ATPC once on your steering wheel and it sort of makes the car crawl through bad patches of terrain. And it is also quite helpful, especially for amateurs like me, because then I can focus more on the terrain, I can focus more on where I need to steer the car rather than fettling around with the throttle. So overall, what do I think of the Range Rover Evoque? Overall, I think that the Range Rover Evoque is a well-rounded package. It's a well-rounded product. The Evoque has a perfect size to be compact enough to be easy to drive in the city, to be easy to park around in the city. It's got extremely good interiors, which are again, I think, a notch higher than what else the rest of the segment has to offer. It's got a beautiful design. No matter if you're parking this car in the city or if you're parking this car on the side of the highway, it is going to turn a few heads. It's going to make sure that people turn around and look at you once again, mostly maybe because they think it's a Velar. I think apart from these minor niggles where I would say the suspension's a little stiff below a certain speed and the gearbox being slightly lazy when it comes to downshifting, I would say as an overall package, the Evoque is a very, very good car to drive under most circumstances and under most situations. It might feel a little compact for the size and cost, but rest assured, the money has been spent by Range Rover at the right kind of place to give you that right sort of Range Rover experience. I think the Evoque is a perfect distillation of the Range Rover brand, brought down and modernized to fit a perfect segment. And in that regards, I think Land Rover has done an absolutely fantastic job with this new generation Evoque. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, don't forget to leave back a like and subscribe to this channel. I am going to catch you in the next one. Till then, ciao.